before I get started, I wish to apologize for last week not having a... Look, I've said this before on video. I have bad allergy problems. Usually affects me throughout the year no matter what I do. But it's really bad during summer. And this time around, I just got really sick, even with medication. So I'm sorry. I know you guys won't really get that mad about it. But for me, it's important to make this very clear because this is something I really care about. And you expect a good review. And I'm hoping I do. So I am sorry, and I'll keep trying my best not to get these allergies driving me insane, which unfortunately my eyes are itching like crazy. But let's continue. Okay, let's say something here before I get to this review. You look at Raw, you look at SmackDown, and you look at Impact Wrestling. I saw for the last 2 weeks Raw, part of Raw 2 weeks ago, and the entire show last night, You see me botching because it was an abomination, just as bad as the week before, and metaphorically, I wanted to blow my brains out. And that's something you don't want to hear from a guy who has depression with anxiety, majority of the time. I have anxiety with depression. You don't want to hear someone like me say that this makes me want to shoot myself. But I'm fine. I didn't try to kill myself. I'm right here. Hiya. Oh, but you get my point. It can drive a person nutty. SmackDown's better, but let's be honest, even with SmackDown being a much better product than Raw, the show in a whole, the company show in a whole just sucks, no matter which brand you're looking at, particularly coming to SummerSlam. So you want a place to go, you want something interesting, you want something to get your juices flowing, you got Impact. And I know one of my subscribers, George, I know it's you, how you doing, dude? I want to say this for people to know George. George leaves comments on my videos. He's a very educated wrestling fan. And I do respect his opinions. And he is right. At this moment, SmackDown and Raw is not as superior to Impact. It just is not. Now, I'd still say, do not really think everything is great with Impact. You gotta wait until the next year to find out if everything's just stable and they're not gonna start going screwy and start changing everything all over again. Because we had this 3 times before. But as it stands right now, Impact is doing very well. And this show reflects that. Damn, this was a good show. This was a damn good show. It will put a smile on your face. I hope you tell everybody and their friends. If that makes any sense. Anyway, let's get into the show because I kind of dragged this on. I'm sorry. First part, we got LAX and the OGs beating the crap out of each other. Now, I did not see Impact last week. I didn't see it. I tried to, but I just couldn't watch the show. But seeing this is kind of well, I'll give it to you like this. 2 weeks ago, before that, you had the pay-per-view. And then you have this. And it really kind of goes along with it. They're still fighting one another. There's no major words. It's like a street war. Fine with it. But there was one thing that was cringy as hell. It's in my face. The 2 scenes that are coming up. Hernandez taking that guy and basically doing a border toss at the wall. And the guy hits the back of his head on that damn pipe, which is the hand, what is it? I can forget to call it. It's like a guardrail. Or not a guardrail, I can't remember what the hell the thing is, but you see that he whacked his head on it. I am hoping this guy is not hurt. If he is, that is bad. I'm hoping he did not get hurt. But it still looked good. Now, we had a segment later in the night. And it kind of was a bit choppy, particularly when it came to I don't know what happened. Something got lost in translation because the crowd was enjoying themselves. They went and said once Conan, who did a good job. I'm not going to say he didn't. He's doing his job hyping the group, not himself. But when he started calling King a glory hole, everyone was starting to cheer for it. But then something got lost in translation. When they were supposed to continue, Conan stopped for some stupid reason. He could have talked over the crowd or with the crowd. But he left it, and then King had to try and take up the slack, which was very awkward. It just didn't work. He was trying to compensate for it, and he couldn't. So I do not know what happened. Someone's cue was off, Conan was off, but it just got messy after that. And then once King said, we can't do this in no damn ring. You just nothing but pussies. Let's have a real street fight. Let's do it in the damn streets. We didn't really hear that much about it until the commentary team said they're going to have another street fight. But it cannot, and I got to say this very clearly. If they do another ring street fight, this won't work. I know people will still like it, but if you're going to make it real, you cannot do it in the ring. It's going to have to be outside the venue and let them just tear each other apart outside. It needs to be done outside. Alberto Del Rio and Johnny, and I got to say his name, Impact, did it outside and actually felt more real. If they do it in the ring, it will not mean much. They got to do it outside, and that's what I'm hoping for. Now, Pentagon Jr. and Matt Sydal were going to have a match, which they did. But I want to say something about Pentagon Jr. And this is something I think the WWE can really take notes on. When it comes to his video packages, they put subtitles with him. The WWE doesn't even do that. They just let them talk Spanish or they force them to talk English. This is something they should be doing. Whether you're Japanese, whether you're Chinese, whether you're Spanish, whether you're like, let's say that Sheamus wants to talk Celt and he talks in this Celtic language and you put basic subtitles under it, that gives another dynamic. You got to pay attention. And this is what Pentagon Jr. got. And anyone who says, dude, the WWE can't do that, they do it live. Bullshit. Bull freaking shit. Because if you go to the United Nations and when they're in session, they got the people there that literally type out absolutely everything that is being said by any of the people on the mic. They could hire one of those people, and what is it, telecartographer, I believe that's what they call it. I might be wrong about the name of it. I don't remember. But they can have one of those people there, and if they want to do it live, the person hears it first because they can't do a time delay, and they type it out on screen under them. It can be done because it's done at the UN. And if the UN can do it, the WWE can do it. And I really believe that's something they should consider. They got $2 billion coming, or $2.5 billion. They can pay up to whatever the person's name is to do it. Now, the match itself between Sydal and Pentagon Jr. was the best match of the night. It just was for me personally. It was very good, very high. Well, it was slow at first, and by the middle of it, it did pick up quite a lot. The chops were outstanding. Those chops that Pentagon Jr. gave to Matt Sydal twice, you can see them on my face. Those suckers must have really hurt him. You can see the sweat off of Sydal. It had to be bad. But you know what? It was good. And particularly that Matt Sydal lost and Pentagon Jr. is still winning. Now, after that, I'll get to Sydal in a moment. But after that, you got Sami Callihan with the Chris brothers. And what is it? Jake and Dave Chris. I think I finally remember the names. And he's saying, you know what? We've been getting our ass handed to us. We're getting chewed out on social media. One of you two need to get shaved. And I'm going like, wait, what? Why did it need to be shaved? But he's screaming for one of them to get shaved. So Jake was going to do it. I believe it was Jake. But then it's, Sammy says no. It's going to be Dave. And Dave said no. He said, you better do it. You're for Ohio. By Ohio. Take the hit. He starts shaving his head. So it's like they're going to be committed to this gimmick of shaving the hair off and being like skinheads in a sense. Not saying they are skinheads. It's just, what, they're going to be called the bald-headed brigade? I can't believe I said that. But you could say it like that. Maybe they're going to get all three of them going to go bald and just go at Pentagon Jr. and what, the Lucha Brothers. You never know. It might work. I don't know. Now, I got to get this done because I don't want to think about it. You got Katarina, you got Joe, and you got Guido. Still doing this triangle between the three. I just don't care about it. But I will give them A for effort. They are trying to make something that not everyone is interested in interesting. Now, this is where you could draw me in. You're going to have to start doing segments where Joe and Katarina are by themselves, kissing and hugging one another, and every time when Guido comes around, they try to play it off. They try to do something to distract him. That's the only way this might work to a certain extent, to at least make me say, okay, I don't care about this at all, but at least they are trying to make it into a story that can work for most people. Because for me, no matter if they did do that, I'm still not going to care about it. But I will give it credit for credit is due. Because as it stands, they're still teasing us. And that's only going to last for so long. They must let Katarina and Joe start smooching one another. They got to let him grab some ass. They got to let him grab it. If you're doing the Scarlett Bordeaux segments, and I'll get to her in a minute, you must do something with Guido, Katarina, and Joe. Now, getting back to Matt Sydal that he lost. I don't know what they're going to do with Matt. I'm worried. Maybe Matt's not going to come back. I hope he will. But this could be a way to write him off TV if his contract is done. I'm just hoping that's the situation, or he needs some time off because he's injured. Who knows? I'm just hoping they're just not going to drop him. Now, let's get to the piece of ass that we love. And that is Scarlett Bordeaux. When we saw Falaba and KM, I'm going like, you guys, come on. Why? You need to stop trying to be something you're not. Just be a funny tag team. Not trying to be a heel funny tag team. But then Scarlett Bordeaux, beforehand, was with her manservant. I don't remember the guy's name that she managed to basically seduce to be her manservant carrying her bags. She passes them. She goes straight to the brass in the back. And she says, hey, I'm not being treated right. I'm just not being treated right at all. And you kind of hoping that that top she's wearing shows a little bit more nip than you think it's showing. You want to stare at the screen and say, oh, is those nipples? But you don't. So she's saying she wants something to be an outlet so she doesn't feel bad. And they said they'll give her something. Maybe they'll give her something. They don't know. And she says, why don't you give me a show called The Smoke Show? And they agreed. So next week, you see the advertising in my face. Scarlett Bordeaux, The Smoke Show will be up next week. The Facts of Life with The Smoke Show. Oh man, I would love to see Eli Drake deal with that. That's going to be something interesting when Eli Drake has to interact with Scarlett Bordeaux. Those two could be very interesting. And I truly believe that. Now, let's get to, let me see here. The Dempsey Hit Squad versus the Petey Williams and the Ishimori, the Bone Warrior of the Bullet the Bullet Club. I'm sorry, I can't believe I just forgot the Bullet Club. But essentially, we had this in the very opening of the show. Now, mind you, when you see these teams, they don't look like they were meshed very well. But they didn't do a bad job. And I kind of agree with Don Collix that we need more tag teams because we got LAX, the OGs, we have Z and E, if they haven't left or not. I think they're still around. You got the Dempsey Hit Squad. You now have these two guys. It really sounds like it would be something interesting for the tag teams. So, it wasn't a bad match. I'm not saying it was bad. It was actually pretty good. In the end, the faces win. The question is, how far are they going to go with the Dempsey Hit Squad working with these two? And they need a name. They don't need Ishimori and Petey Williams. They need something. Maybe the Japanese-Canadian connection or something. They need some type of gimmick name. But that's just me. Now, here's something you're going to be surprised to hear. Particularly you, George. You got Alicia versus Tessa Blanchard. Now, I was surprised to see Alicia on the roster and actually finally wrestle. Which I was very surprised she finally wrestled. And then we see her against Tessa Blanchard. And I finally realized what the major problem is with Tessa. And whether she's an actual bitch in real life and rude and moody, and that's one of the reasons why the WWE let her go or not, or she's doing a work. When it comes down to it, you cannot tell me she does not remind you of China. That is the major problem. And I might actually do a video after this. If I do, look for it. But my feeling is that Tessa is a underdeveloped China. And that's what I think is the major issue with her. And I think I am going to do a video. I'll do a video after this. But I'm telling you this. One, she reminds me of China in some ways. Two, when it came to the match, it was way too long. And when it came to Alicia, she had way too much offense. Tessa did a good job. She really laid into her pretty rough. She tried to break her jaw at one point. You could see it in my face. Then she did a pretty damn good, she did a military press on that girl and made her look like she was a toy. And then finally she flew around like a rag doll. And I'll say this, after the match, when she talked, it wasn't a bad promo. She made it very clear to Allie, you better not, you want to go after Su Yung? You better not be trying to get that title, because if you do, I'm coming after you. Now mind you, she did kind of go around the bend with it. She didn't cut to the chase. And I felt she should have cut to the chase directly, even if it was only a few seconds long. I just felt like either she forgot some of her script, or with the adrenaline going on, she kind of got caught up in the moment and was a little too much off the cuff. So it really felt like it was dragging a bit, that she was going in a circle a little bit. But she did get her point across, and I'm cool with that. That was an okay segment. Now here's the interview that I just kind of relayed when it came to Tessa. You got Allie with the straight fire of Kiera Hogan. When you see Allie, I gotta say that she dropping the sweet Allie is something I've been wanting for a long time. And you see now Cherry Bomb. This is Cherry Bomb, and I'm so loving it. She spoke very well. She said, I don't care about the damn title. I just want to destroy Su Yung, to make sure she never puts anyone inside a casket again. Not me, not Rosemary, not anybody. And then once Kiera had her chance to talk, she talked very well. I know Kiera Hogan could talk very well. And I don't remember which subscriber it was that said she needs to be like Bad News Brown. No. Kiera Hogan doesn't need to have the attitude of Bad News Brown. She doesn't. She doesn't need that. Bad News Brown had a personality that went with his fighting technique because he used to be doing judo. And I know that the subscriber said, I'm not saying about that. I'm just saying about the tenacity she had in her talking. Well, the thing is that Kiera just does not have that type of personality. She just doesn't. She almost has the personality of someone similar to you know what? She's a lot like Sasha Banks. A boss. That is her personality, but it's unrefined. She's like an early Sasha Banks. Now, I know a lot of people don't like Sasha Banks all the time, but if you talk about personality-wise, she's unrefined like Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks is refined enough that she shows that she's a boss when she's booked. Of course, she isn't booked right. She's booked like a lesbian now. But when she was booked properly, that is what Kiera should be. So that segment was pretty good for both of them. And I'm alright with it. Now, what am I forgetting here? Let me see. I don't want to forget anything. I think that's it. We got the ending of the show, which was Eddie Edwards versus Austin Aries for the world title. This match, and I want to make this really clear, this was not a match about wrestling holds. This was about getting Eddie over as a hardcore wrestler. That's what this was about. When you see Austin Aries' interview, he was saying simply, you know what? I know you for 10 years, but I've never seen you like this. when it comes down to it, I'm not facing a regular Eddie Edwards that I know and actually respected. I'm facing someone unpredictable, someone dangerous, and I don't like that. He was putting Eddie Edwards over along with himself after that, which was cool. The match itself was all about Eddie being a hardcore wrestler now. Trying to be. And to be honest, for me personally, and I know a lot of people think he's doing great as a hardcore wrestler. No. I feel like he is not there yet. He's getting there. But I feel like he needs to refine his attitude in the ring more. Because when it comes down to it, he kind of wants to be like Mick Foley. But then he's coming off as George the Animal Steele. And if anybody knows what George the Animal Steele is compared to Mick Foley, you would understand what I'm saying. George the Animal Steele was acting like a crazed dog that if you scratch him on his balls properly, he will roll over on his stomach and let you pet him. Compared to a Mick Foley, who just was beyond crazy, but knew how to do a promo properly. He knew how to act in the ring properly. He also knew how to act in his character in the ring properly. That is where Eddie Edwards is kind of hanging for me personally. Somewhere between George the Animal Steele and Mick Foley. And I don't know if he knows which one to do right now. Now, in other promotions, he's probably been learning how to refine this attitude because it does go from promotion to promotion. He's going like that. But I don't think he's there yet. Give it a year or two for him and he will have it down which direction he wants to go. Does he want to go to Mick Foley? Does he want to go to George Animal Steele? Does he want to take a combination of two or something else entirely? I think he's not there. And it shows in the ring. The wrestling moves is not the issue. It's his character working with the wrestling moves that are unrefined. But it was still a good match. At one point, Eddie Edwards started biting Austin Aries. You see in my face, he just gets into the last chancery, and then he's going like, no, I'm getting out of this, I'm going to bite you. That is the George Animal Steele type of attitude. Mick Foley didn't generally bite people. Doesn't mean if he didn't need to, he would. But he just comes off as George the Animal Steele in that case. Then when Austin Aries is trying to whack him with a smack to the chest, then you see him kind of go with Mick Foley. And that is where I feel that he's standing right now. He's trying to figure himself out. By the end of the match, once Austin Aries bangs Eddie Edwards into the ref, and then Eddie kind of gets a good defense on him, he realizes the ref is down, so then he goes and grabs a kendo stick, and instead of hitting Austin Aries at first, he hits the ref first. And I'm going, what the fuck? That's George Animal Steele right there. He go after the freaking ref. He won't do Mick Foley where he would do whatever it took and act even more crazier to get Austin Aries. That's what Mick Foley would do. That's what George the Animal Steele would do. So after that, he does hit Austin with the kendo stick. Then finally, we get a surprise. We get Killer Kross comes out, saves Austin Aries, nails Eddie Edwards, and Austin retains his title. And now we have a new team of Austin Aries and Killer Kross. Didn't see this one coming. Did not even think they were even paired together. But then you kind of got a hint when Killer Kross was already taking people out and the first person that was really speaking up was Austin Aries. Then it makes some sense. Austin knew about Killer Kross from the very beginning. Why he spoke out before anyone else when Killer Kross was taking people out. So it does make some sense what we got. So, in the end, this was a good show, even though there were some questions. Like, the triangle between Joe, Guido, and Katarina. The Falaba and KM, where are they really going with them? You wonder what's going to happen with Eddie Edwards. Which direction is it going to go? Is it George the Animal Steele, or is it going to Mick Foley? And then you wonder how far they're going to push Tessa Blanchard. And I am going to do a video on what I think about Tessa and what they need to do to make her kind of like a Chyna. But this is just my point of view. You guys tell me below. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace.